Alright, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we are live in full effect right here, right now with the one, the only, the legendary Illogic. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I gotta first and foremost say, man, I have been a fan of yours for so long, man, so just thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time this evening.
I appreciate you having me, man. Thank you.
But I gotta ask you, man, because I know you're a busy guy and you have done so much tremendous work within the hip-hop industry, man, but I have to ask you, taking you back to the beginning of your career, like, what actually inspired and sparked the legendary career of Illogic?
Well, I've always been a writer. I've always been into music. I used to write a lot of short stories as a kid, write a lot of poems, always listened to a lot of soul music and rock music and all kind of things when I was younger, and then, just seeing hip-hop for the first time, in videos when I was about 8 or 9. MC Light, Cha 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 comes to mind as one of the first videos that I saw when I was young, and it just made me, think like, hey, you could do that with words too, because I always wanted to sing, but, I wasn't that great at singing, but I was really good at writing, so, it kind of enabled me to mesh the two worlds together, and I've been rapping ever since.
And I gotta ask you this, man, because, like, in my personal opinion, you are an absolute legend, man, and, you really helped put Columbus on the map, man. When you first actually got into it, did you actually see yourself being as big as you are today?
I didn't. I just wanted to be the best that I could, and I wanted to make sure that the people in my city, knew my name and thought that I was good, because there was a lot of crews when I was first coming up that were popular, and I just wanted their approval. I just wanted, to be considered one of the dope MCs in the city, and, it just happened to snowball into what it has become.
And I gotta ask you, when I first discovered you, it was actually, I remember going to a place called Music World, and I ended up snagging this CD. And I remember it came out around May of the year 2000, which is your debut album titled Unforeseen Shadows. I was wondering, what's the story and inspiration behind that iconic record? Because you had some of the most inspirational lyrics, in my personal opinion, that actually came out within a hip-hop record.
Yeah, when I was, I wrote most of that when I was about 17, and the whole idea was, I didn't record it until I got to college. I went to college in Cincinnati, at the University of Cincinnati, and that's where Blueprint was living at the time, and me and him had, he's from Columbus as well, and we had met prior, and just letting him know that I was coming to school there, so he would pick me up, from my dorm a couple times a week, and I'd go to his house and write rhymes, and, he'd let me hear beats, and we just started doing songs. And the whole idea behind the title, Unforeseen Shadow, was just because I was kind of coming out of nowhere. And, I just at the time wrote what I felt and wrote how I felt, and, it was the mind of a 16, 17, year old that had a little life, that he's lived. And, I really appreciate everyone who supported it and, still check it out and listen to it to this day.
And I gotta say as well, the one song that I really enjoyed off that record was actually Me Versus Myself. I have to say that's such a powerful song, and the name just says it all.
Yeah, that was it was interesting because a lot of the ideas on that record were ahead of their time. I just thought, like, what if I consider myself the best, then what would a battle between myself and myself look like, So, just coming up with those kind of concepts and those kind of ideas, and, Blueprint was very supportive in, a lot of my ideas and just doing things that were unconventional and different at the time. And, it was, that's one of my favorite songs as well.
And also, as well, when you actually mentioned Blueprint a few moments ago, I also remember as well that you were actually a member of the group Greenhouse alongside with him. I was wondering, what made you guys decide to start that group?
Well, actually, Greenhouse initially was Blueprint, Manifest, who was part of Waitlist as well, and another MC that was part of Waitlist called, his name was Inkwell. And they were originally Greenhouse, and my introduction into the Waitlist family was on their first EP, which was called the Up to Speed EP, and we did a song called Waitlist, and that was where everything began. And later on, Manifest was, disassociated with the group. Inkwell ended up moving on to do other things, and Blueprint just kind of asked me if I wanted to go ahead and be a group with him and, just take on the Greenhouse moniker, and so that's what we did.
And I have to ask you as well, with Greenhouse, did past fans actually get upset about the new vision you guys had for Greenhouse, or were they actually really supportive of what you guys did?
They were extremely supportive. I mean, I think people had always looked at me and Blueprint as, kind of the two-headed snake of, the two-headed monster of Waitlist anyway. So the fact that we were doing whole albums and EPs together, the fans were extremely supportive and happy about that.
And I gotta say as well, you guys have some amazing chemistry together. I really have to say that. What you guys are doing with Greenhouse right now is absolutely phenomenal. I remember when 2009, you guys actually dropped Life Sentences, and I was always wondering, what's the actual story behind that record? Because I have to say, that album is absolutely inspirational.
Well, Life Sentences was actually that was the original Greenhouse, so that was Blueprint, Manifest, and Inkwell. I just happened to feature on a couple of the songs, but the idea behind that album for the group was just, it's kind of a play on words, of course, of dealing with things in the inner city, dealing with things as African American men living in America, but also, the writing aspect of, writing real life down on paper and presenting it to the world.
And I have to ask you as well, because I know you're featured on that record. Is it still available in hard copy form to actually purchase today? Because I do know, unfortunately, hard copies are really are sort of scarce nowadays.
Honestly, I'm not sure. I would have to ask Blueprint, because he has all of the back catalog merchandise at his office. So I'm not sure. I would probably say that it's not still available as hard copy, but don't quote me on that.
And also as well, in the year 2006, you actually did a collaboration with the Green Brothers on their Everybody's Green record. I was wondering, what was it like actually working with the Green Brothers? And of course, how did you guys get connected?
Well, the Green Brothers, the engineer of the Green Brothers is Aaron Evans, and me and Aaron, that's like my best friend. And we go back, to high school. We met, way back, probably, I want to say maybe 90, 98, maybe 97, 96, something like that. We've been friends for a long, long time. And the Green Brothers was a project that him and Race Car had put together, and I was there. I was always in the studio when they were recording, and it just so happened that I was there for that song and got to tell my perspective on just how I dealt with smoking at the time.
And also as well, I have to ask you, has your perspective actually changed when it comes to smoking? Because I do know that when I guess a majority of places around the world now, smoking is actually legalized.
Right. Well, yes and no. I don't smoke nearly as much. If I do smoke, it's maybe once a year. Back then I smoked pretty heavily. Now it's extremely rare that I smoke weed, and there's nothing against the weed. I just enjoy my clarity. And enjoy, for my head to be clear at all times. But, more power to everybody that smokes. I have nothing against, herb.
And also as well, like I noticed as well, aside from Greenhouse, you were also a member of the group The Orphanage. I was wondering if you can tell us a bit more about that group, and of course, how did you meet the other members?
Well, The Orphanage was a super group of sorts that consisted of myself, Blueprint, Aesop Rock, the late Great Idea, and Slug from Atmosphere. And honestly, the way that I met Aesop Rock was him and the Addams Family did a show with us for the Unforeseen Shadows release party here in Columbus. And that was the first time we had met. I had gotten familiar with his music through Dose One, who was part of Anacon, and he introduced me to his music. But the first time that me and him actually met was at the release party for Unforeseen Shadows. And with Slug and Idea, just doing shows with those guys when they would come through, we were just, slated because, we were doing pretty well at the time. So when they would come through, a lot of the underground groups would reach out to us, as far as opening acts. And, we just met that way. And also I got introduced to their music through Dose One as well. So, being in Cincinnati where Scribble Jam was held and, them coming through there often to do shows, we just kind of, crossed paths and ended up becoming good friends, and we're still friends to this day.
And I have to ask you as well pertaining to Idea, because in my personal opinion, he had such amazing battle rap skills. I was wondering, what was one of your most fondest memories you actually shared with the late great Idea?
There was a battle that it was in Cincinnati, and I believe it was part of Scribble Jam, one of the early Scribble Jam, and I was in college then, and I would go up to the radio station because they had a local radio station that had a hip hop show and had a hip hop night, and they would do battles like every month, and I would go up there and I would do my thing, and it got known around the way that I was a pretty good battle MC. So there was this, I believe it was Scribble Jam. There was a battle where people, they put me on one end of the bracket and Idea on the other end of the bracket, just because they knew that out of everyone that was in the battle, we were the best out of everyone. So we kind of just chewed everybody up and met in the finals, and we ended up battling about 8 or 9 different rounds because the crowd could never decide who won, but he did end up edging me out. But that's one of the fondest memories, and he also took me on my first tour that I ever did around the country for his Oliver Hart tour, and I was always grateful to him for allowing me to get my feet wet, out there on the road.
And I gotta say as well, that Oliver Hart record was absolutely phenomenal. That Weird Side track will always live on with me, man. His lyrics in that song is just phenomenal.
Oh yeah, that album is amazing, and the coolest thing was, I kind of relate to him in that fashion today, because that was the first album of his that he had ever produced for himself, and with me releasing Autopilot, last year, I kind of understand that feeling now, and getting to do something over your own tracks and have your own complete creation and your own vision completed, is an amazing thing, and Oliver Hart was definitely a dope part of his vision at the time.
And I just got to say quickly, you know what I mean? Rest in paradise, Idea. Gone, but most definitely never forgotten.
Definitely.
And also as well, aside from your music side of things here for a moment, I also noticed that you actually have your own podcast titled Beats and B-Siders. I was wondering, what actually made you decide to venture into the podcasting side of things? And of course, where can our listeners check out your show?
Initially what got me into it was, the pandemic. I wasn't able to really interact with my fans the way that I wanted to, couldn't do shows. And I had, messed around with live streaming before, but with some not so great results. And so I invested in my own setup and all of that, and just thought Beats and B-Sides was a good way to utilize the tools that we have at our disposal as far as the internet to interact with my fans and create a stronger relationship at the time, and plus promote my new album and utilize that as part of the campaign to promote my record. So I usually do Beats and B-Sides on Fridays at 8 p.m., and you can stream it anywhere. I usually do a live show. You can check it out on YouTube. It's Illogic 614 on YouTube. You can check it out on my Facebook page, on Twitch, on Twitter. So, it's all over the place. And if you want to check out any of the back episodes, you can check them out on YouTube. They are there, and, they're pretty cool. Like, it's something that I'm expanding this year, and I'm looking forward to doing that, getting more into interviews and just doing some different things and changing the days around here and there. So just check it out, and if you like it, subscribe to the page, and I'll have some great content for you.
And I remember as well, I was shifting through your Twitter there earlier today, and I noticed you asked the fans, who would you like to see you interview? I was wondering, who are some of the up and coming interviews that you actually have going on Beats and B-Siders?
Well, actually, right now I don't have any scheduled. I was just kind of asking the fans to get a pulse of what the fans would like to see and who they would like to see me have a conversation with. It's still, the interview portion is still something new that I'm messing around with. So I don't have any, like I said, I don't have anything scheduled right now, but be on the lookout. I'll have, I got a lot of friends, so I can make some phone calls and probably get some pretty cool interviews, so just be on the lookout for that.
And I gotta say, I checked out a little bit of your podcast on your YouTube as well, and I gotta say, ladies and gentlemen, it is actually a phenomenal broadcast, so if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, and definitely check them out.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. Yeah, it's a fun thing, man. It's something that, I never really thought about doing until I kind of was forced into that area. And now that I'm doing it, it's really great. And it's a good thing to share, new music. It's a great way to share new music with fans. It's a great way to share, thought processes and, just all kind of things. So if you go to the page, you'll see that there's a bunch of different kind of shows. Sometimes I'm just talking. Sometimes I'll be making beats live on the show. I do live streams of performances, beat performances, things like that. So it's a really cool thing that I've dove into, and I'm looking forward to expanding.
And also as well, as you mentioned, you're here to promote your brand new record that actually dropped October 20th of 2020. It is actually titled Autopilot. I was wondering if you can tell our listeners a bit more about this new record if they haven't already checked it out. And of course, where can we snag ourselves some copies? Because I was looking at your Bandcamp, and I know you have some great deals going on.
Yeah, well, Autopilot is it's like my baby that I've been nursing for the last 3 to 5 years. I originally started producing probably about 6 or 7 years ago, and I always told myself back, around the time I made Celestial Clockwork that I wanted to produce an album of my own. And, so I started producing about 6, 7 years ago, and, just got to a point where I was good enough, where I felt like my beats were good enough for me to write to and for me to create music, create songs with, and develop this album. And, it's really a labor of love, and really a great, nice little 30, I think it's like 32 minutes long, and it's a great experience. And, I hope you guys check it out. If you, want to get a copy of it, I do have purple vinyl, I have CDs, and there's also digital available as T-shirts and stickers and all those kind of things. You can, snag those at my Bandcamp page, but it is streaming on all your streaming platforms if you want to check it out.
And also, I'm going to give the listeners a little bit of a taste of this record, and it's one of my favorite tracks off of it, titled "Out of This World." And I was wondering if you can give our listeners a little bit more insight on the meaning behind this track before I actually play it for our listeners live.
Well, Out of This World, it's a double meaning to the song. It was a song that I really wrote with my wife in mind. We don't get a lot of time alone because we have 3 teenage boys. So they take up a lot of our time, and we have demanding day jobs that kind of take us out, of that time together. And we do try our best to make time, but it was one of those times where I was, thinking about her and just kind of wanting to escape, the normalcy of our daily lives and just kind of, just get out of this world, But also it's, also a song about us as human beings and us as, just regular people. Sometimes we got to put the phone down. Sometimes we got to, close off the distractions of the outside world and, just be together with people that we love and be together with community and, just kind of escape, the regular realm of just all the regular things and crazy things that are going on in this world and just kind of, love on each other. That's the purpose and meaning behind that song.
But I gotta ask you, Illogic, what is next for you? Because, obviously, like we just spoke about, you have Beats and B-Siders, you have your newest record that just dropped, Autopilot, but what is next on the horizon for Illogic in 2021?
Well, there's a lot of things. I'm working on, producing a few records for some other artists. I have a instrumental album that I'm working on that I'm hoping to get out this year. Also a brand new EP that I'm hoping to get out this year, from myself. And, just really trying to expand. I'm going to be re-releasing, I'm doing a re-release of Celestial Clockwork on vinyl here pretty shortly. So there's a lot of things. Just, follow me on all my socials, Illogic614 on pretty much everything, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Illogic1, Illogic ONE on Facebook. You can follow me and just, keep up with what's going on. And my website is IamIllogic.com.
And I gotta first and foremost say quickly, just before we wrap things up here, Illogic, I've been a fan of yours for a long time. You've always had that inspirational lyrics that really has helped tons of individuals get through a lot of hard times in their lives for many years, man. And I was one of those fans, so I just gotta say thank you for making inspirational music that I could sit down and vibe to when I had a rough day, man. So I just want to commend you and say thank you for years of amazing hip-hop on behalf of myself and the rest of the fans.
Oh man, I definitely appreciate that. I make music for me primarily first, but it's definitely music that I make to inspire and show people that they're not alone in the things that they feel and the things that they go through on a regular basis. So I really appreciate all the support and all the love that I've gotten throughout the years.
And I gotta say, Illogic, thank you so much again, and most definitely have yourself a wonderful night, and try to be safe out there during these hard times we're going through right now.
Will do, and same to you. Thank you for having me, and peace out to everybody. Stay safe out there.
Most definitely, Illogic. Thank you so much, and have yourself a wonderful night.
You as well.